Behind the G, back for another episode, and boy, am I excited about this one. Welcome in, Red Elephant faithful, and a special shout out to those outside our big red brood here simply for the entertainment provided. Coming up on this here podcast for Red Elephants and by Red Elephants, Adam and I chat with former GHS lacrosse player and first-year boys lacrosse coach for us, Baylor Montoya. He's fresh out of college, folks, but you'd never know it. Great young man with a great vision for the future of Gainesville boys lacrosse. Also, our director of tennis, Ed Benson, talks about his journey to Gainesville. And frankly, folks, it's a can't-miss conversation. One that really shocked both Adam and myself with all that he has done in his life. Last but certainly not least, the legend himself is on this week's Behind the G. That's right, boys and girls. We gave Coach Wayne Vickery a microphone and let him loose. And here's the biggest thing. I didn't have to edit one single part of it. And that is a miracle in and of itself. Speaking of Coach Vic, Adam, Monday at Ivey-Watson, we experienced an incredible celebration of that man's legacy.
Yeah, that was awesome. I loved getting to see all the people come out to represent him and show support for him. When you have those kind of things, you don't know exactly who's going to show up.
Right.
We planned it purposely on what it was a federal holiday, hoping that would kind of help people be able to come, and they did. They showed out, got to see a lot of people we haven't seen in a long time, which is awesome. It was a great event for Coach Vic. You don't always know what you're going to get with Coach Vic.
Very true.
But he did a great job, and it was a great event, and we got to open up the facility, the Vic, and people got to walk through and see it, and it was a great time.
By the way, for those of you interested, we had our photographer, our staff photographer, go into the Vic and take some photos. If you're interested in seeing what it looks like, Coach Chan Brown, our current baseball coach, had the locker room set up just as it would be next season or coming up this season when his boys are able to occupy it. He had it set up, and it looks absolutely wonderful. And Coach Vic talks about the batting facility coming up here on Behind the G that is housed in the Vic. And what a treat it was to be able to see it, and how he can't believe that Gainesville baseball has something that nice. If you're interested in seeing those photos, interested in seeing the inside of the Vic, but can't get out to Ivey-Watson, go to GoRedElephants.com, look at our photo galleries, and you'll see all the pictures that you can handle of this beautiful new Gainesville athletics facility that we're fortunate to have. There's something to be said for you mentioned you don't really ever know what's going to come out of Coach Vic's mouth, right?
Yep.
And not that any of us that's part of the allure of him. That's part of what endears him to people, right?
People that know him know that.
There's something to be said, though, for when you get into that moment where quite literally everything you've worked for will be talked about, because every person who walks up to that building, walks in that building, will ask who Wayne Vickery is.
Yeah.
For eternity until the building no longer exists, and hopefully that never happens. When you're faced with that, it can really, really humble you in a way that frankly is a little shocking. Yeah. And that's not to say any of us expected Coach Vic to get up there and be brash, and no, but the way that he was humbled by the celebration of him was truly remarkable to see. Truly remarkable to see.
Yeah, and I think he may have even gotten a little emotional.
Oh yeah,
I know it's awesome there for him to have his family there, and again, so many people from his past, coaches, athletes, supporters that you hadn't seen in a long time. It's got to be an amazing feeling. I mean, how many times in this conversation, just in the last 3 minutes, have we said the word the Vic?
Yeah, exactly.
And that will be said daily around here, even though he's not here,
right?
On a daily basis. So, I mean, that's for him has got to be an incredibly cool thing for him. Certainly a tout to his legacy that he's left, and he'll be remembered forever now.
Absolutely, as if he wouldn't already. I was thinking though, and when we were chatting with him earlier this week, it kind of struck me, and I don't know why. I'm just thinking about this. We've got the Davis Hill Gym. We've got Bruce Miller Field. We've got Ivey-Watson. We now have the Vic. We've got the Pam Ware Performing Arts Center. Each place that is named for someone, I had the great fortune to know that person, to be coached by that person, to be taught by that person. and I don't really know where I'm going with this, but it's a very odd and prideful feeling at the same time.
Well, I mean, I think to me, it's ultimately one of the things that makes Gainesville special. For a multitude of reasons. Number one, we've been fortunate enough to have those kind of people that have been impactful across a large period of time.
Yeah.
So I think that's huge. I mean, not all schools have that opportunity to have those kind of people, but then also, the bigger thing is to recognize those people. You're in a special place when you've got a bunch of buildings named after people, because people have done things to earn that.
And I do want to delineate our buildings, our media center, which is named after Sammy Smith, our weight room, which is named after Dr. Tim Fullenwider. They aren't named for the people who wrote the biggest check to build the building. Our buildings are named for people who were in the arena. And I think really that's what hit me yesterday, is that I was fortunate enough to be in the arena with most of them. Now, Drain Watson aside, I was not in the arena with Drain Watson. I was not in the arena with Ted Ivey, although I knew him and his beautiful wife, Colleen, very, very well. But, there's something to be said for existing in a community where it's not who gives the most money. It's not, it's people who
were impactful. Yeah.
And I go back to being in the arena and brought others up to their potential in that same arena.
Yeah.
That just, it hit me like a ton of bricks, and in a very celebratory way.
Well, and I think too, and a little off topic here, but staying with Coach on this one, we spend a lot of time talking about him about the baseball side of things.
Yeah.
The man was also the athletic director here for a long time and got to see a ton of success.
He did.
He hired a lot of great coaches, oversaw, a program that was really, really good. I want to have him on sometime and just solely talk about his time as athletic director and his hiring process and, just the relationships that he built and how because part of that is how he managed that along with being the baseball coach as well is never an easy process.
And I forgot to mention the Tommy Valentine golf suite that we have here at the Student Activity Center. Red Elephants out there listening, when you think about it, it's kind of mind-blowing, isn't it? Mm-hmm. It's kind of mind-blowing that we have had the kind of coaches here that you truly want to name something after. Mm-hmm. This wasn't a political move. Yep. It wasn't to keep somebody happy. Nope. All the names that you see on the buildings were earned. Every name that you see on a building was earned, and I find it an absolute privilege. I would have found it a privilege to know one of them, but to have been at Gainesville High School when these human beings were at their prime was really, really something special. When you think about Manson Hill and Jerry Davis and Pam Ware, when they were at their prime, to have existed in them, you don't appreciate it at the time. Yeah. I didn't appreciate it when I was, you don't appreciate it at the time, but looking back, and again, it really just kind of hit me yesterday talking to Coach Vic, to have existed at the time when they were building the legacy that led to having their names, and I say it a lot, forever cemented, literally. Is something I'm not going to take for granted again.
Well, and I look back at it from my position, in whether it's his time as the baseball coach or his time as the AD, that was kind of a prime time.
Oh, it was
for Gainesville athletics, where I think kind of the standard obviously got raised, the bar got raised, and winning state championships was the norm.
Yep.
So I mean, I think it's pretty incredible in my opinion.
Man, the athletes that rolled through here. Mm-hmm. Girls basketball state titles. Kingsley Barrett with golf. Yep. Lauren Darnell with golf. The boys golf. Baseball. I mean, just it's kind of eye opening when you think about it and you go back and look at it. And also understand this: every day we come into this building, every day we step onto this campus, we're working to get us back to those days.
Absolutely. I mean, Gainesville is not, and we've talked about this a bunch. Gainesville is not the same as it was.
Oh no,
during those time frames, not even close, not even in the ballpark. But that is our goal every day. Yeah. I mean, that's why I'm here. That's why you're here. That's why all of our coaches are here. I always kind of look like my goal is to get it back to, where state championships are being won every year by, multiple programs. And that is back to the norm. That is certainly our goal, and we continue to fight that fight every day. Oh yeah, it's a good fight. We absolutely love it. So, boys soccer, we want to give you a little update on Red Elephant Athletics. If you haven't been paying attention to our social media, it's been on absolute fire. Because what have you been doing?
What have you been doing? Go Red Elephants across all platforms. I've told you this 1,000 times, but it's been on absolute fire because we've experienced a lot of winning of late. Mm-hmm. Boys soccer, yes, they dropped their first match of the season. PKs, they got beat by Central Gwinnett. It was 2-2 at the end of regulation, but up to last night, they've been hitting and not missing much. Yeah. We talked to Ellie Vivian on last week's show. Go back and listen to it if you want to, but they've had a great start to the season. Girls soccer has reeled off 2 wins. Yes, huge for that program. They've, as we've talked about, struggled as of late. So, what I thought was awesome, so last night they beat Central Gwinnett. Yeah. Was it 6-0? 6-0. Mm-hmm. 6-0. And, what I thought was really cool when you looked at their stat line, they had one senior that scored a goal. That's correct. And the other 5 were all freshmen. Yes, they were. That, to me, it's leading. So that's certainly exciting for that program to kind of have that kind of youth, stepping up and kind of paints the picture for what our future could look like. Yeah, Brittany Rivas scored 2 goals last night, freshman for us. She's been on it. Yeah. In their win, she's been on it. And they've got a freshman in goal. Yeah. It's just a young team, super proud of Sadie Foote, her coaching staff, and those girls for getting a couple wins here and building some momentum and hopefully some confidence. On the flip side of that, just mentioned freshmen. Want to mention, Teresa Baldwin coming back. Yep. Senior, young Harris commit. Tore ACL about this time last year. Yep. And last night scored her first goal of the season. Those full circle moments, man, you awesome. You can't make that up. Yeah, it's funny. I was at the region basketball tournament last night and have a little close with the Baldwin family. My wife and I have a little text string going back and forth with Teresa's mom, so she was kind of keeping us up to date as the score was going on. I know it was a special moment for her, for Teresa to get back out there, back in form and scoring, being a prolific goal scorer like she can be. Yeah, and Teresa and her sister Madeline are smart young ladies, and they're going to have great futures, and they don't necessarily need soccer to be the people they want to be, or they've got a lot of tools in their belt. Yep. And so just the simple fact that she even bothered to come back out there speaks a lot of her character. Yep. Bothered to come back out there and then thriving in the way in which she is. Again, can't make those kind of stories up, but they are definitely the kind of stories that you want highlighted. Speaking of highlights, boys basketball now 26-0. Last night moved into the region tournament finals where they will face who won? Johns Creek. Sorry, they will face Johns Creek. Johns Creek beat Milton last night. They'll face Johns Creek for the Region 7 5A title Thursday. That is tomorrow where we sit. When you're listening to this, it will be tonight at 8:30 at Chattahoochee High School. Boys going for their second straight region title. We've lauded over this program a lot in recent weeks. I don't think it's ever going to be enough. Simply because of the way that they keep showing up with the same energy. Last night, Charlie Gershmel, 20 points, 8 scores all told. Yeah. Ash Volrath and Jackson Trammell. Look, I was going to say, I really enjoyed watching last night's game because I think we've seen what our seniors can do. Sure. Last night was really nice to see some of our younger guys who don't get as much playing time. Again, it was a 1 versus a 4. You kind of go into those knowing you got a good shot at winning. So I appreciated, Coach Gibbons pulled out, most of the starters midway through the third and really got to see Ash Volrath come out. He played better than he's played all season. Was dominant around the rim. Controlled the boards. Was taking some great. I think he hit a 3, hit 2 free throw line jumpers. Yeah. Jackson showed his athleticism. Those are 2 guys that are going to be big players for us next year. And I texted Coach Gibbons after the game and said, "Hey man, your young guys played really well." He's like, "I told y'all, we're going to be fine next year. Our young guys are going to be good." Okay.
Okay.
Just sometimes you could just say thank you.
Yeah. I almost responded, "Thank you, Coach."
Yeah.
That's what you meant to say.
Yeah, but listen, our boys basketball team continues to roll, and you just hope you keep your fingers crossed, and you keep your fingers crossed that they haven't peaked too soon.
Yeah.
I also know the pedigree of their coach, in that I don't know that he would allow that to happen.
Yep.
He knows how to build a champion. He's done it. He's done it before, from the ground up, literally, and has sustained success throughout his coaching career. I just for the sake of these boys, though, the work they've put in, the connectivity they have, regardless, it's coming to an end in 3 weeks.
Yep.
I just hope it's the end that they deserve.
Yeah, it's you don't like talking about the whole like undefeated
correct
season too much, but how cool would that be for those kids?
Oh my gosh!
Granted, Gainesville's done it before, so old hat for Gainesville. But if you can do it again, even more special. And you get to a point once you make it through the region tournament, it's either you finish undefeated or you finish on a loss.
Right.
So I know. That has to be playing into their mind one way.
Sure.
I'm surely they're not thinking about it too much. But what a fun game to watch last night. Certainly enjoyed seeing. We've talked about their defense a bunch. It was fun to see. I think we were up maybe like 10-2 somewhere, like halfway through the first quarter, and then they scored and. Coach Gibbons made put in Sebastian, and all of a sudden it was full court press, and here we go, another score, steal, score, and it was like, oh, we can do that too, So it was just fun to watch.
Sebastian is one of those players. Sebastian Collins coming off the bench.
Sebastian scored last night.
Did he really?
Got a layup.
That might have been his first points of the season.
It may have been. I hate to put that on him. It's from what I know that is his first score of the season.
Well, so what I was about to say is Sebastian Collins is one of those basketball players that, as a former basketball player, I would hate to see standing in front of me when I had the ball. I would hate to see him coming off the bench.
Yes,
he is your prototypical six man.
Yep.
You've got your starters who come in, get you off to a good start, and then you've got that second wave that just puts their foot on your neck.
Yep.
That's Sebastian Collins. And you heard us say, I think last night was the first points he scored all season. Yeah. It ain't about that. It's about all the intangibles he provides and the spark he provides, the energy, and the pressure defense. As a former player, he's one that I would he and KJ. Yeah. But he is one I would hate to see bothering me on the perimeter. Speaking of KJ White, our point guard, well-deserved postseason honors. Co-player of the year, and then co-defensive player of the year, along with our 7-footer in the middle, and that is Mr. Kevin Curtis. I do want to go on record here, Red Elephants, as saying, if a co-player of the year is also going to be a co-defensive player of the year, then that person should just be the player of the year. I want to repeat that. If a co-player of the year is also going to be named co-defensive player of the year, then the co should be taken off player of the year. If you are doing it on both sides of the ball to the point where you stand out enough that other coaches give you the accolade of being, by honor, by award given, the best all-around player, then that's player of the year.
I'm just going to say amen. I 100% agree with you. I called it very early on in the year that I thought KJ should be player of the year without hands down, no doubt. I think he controls the game more than any other player. And here's the thing, and I'll give I don't even remember the kid's name from Johns Creek who got the co-player of the year. When I watched them at Johns Creek, I said,
the kid can hoop. Yeah,
he can play. When he played, when he came here, nothing. Like he did nothing whenever they played here. And again, the coaches didn't see that when you had those two going against each other. All the coaches, other than our coaches that we're voting for, don't get to see that. For me, watching him play here and KJ play here, it was a no contest.
No contest.
So KJ, without a doubt, player of the year. take the and throw it out. It is what it is. But it's also, happy to see, and again, I'd love to know the stats on Kevin. Has to be leading the region in blocks.
Oh, for sure.
Maybe leading the state in blocks. He picked up 6 or 7 last night.
Right.
I mean, it's, you're in trouble. It's funny, Kevin, how last night, who did we play last night?
Lanier.
Lanier, sorry. How Lanier was playing as Kevin was standing out on the 3-point line, sometimes guarding, and I'm like, that guy's just in trouble. Like,
you're not going to get a shot off there.
You're not going to get a shot off. So, but no, I totally agree. KJ 100% deserves Player of the Year without anybody attaching themselves to him.
Real quickly, I want to stay with this, and then we'll move on. But this is for anyone out there who has voting power when it comes to naming someone the best at their craft. I don't care what that craft is. It's the person you can't be as successful as you are without. And that looks different. Depending on what depending on what area you're talking about, depending on what sport you're talking, it looks different. But I go back to a long, long time ago. Todd Cottrell was the coach here. Blake Sims, George Mano. They went to the state champion. They might have gone to the state championship, but I know they went to the state semifinals. Great Gainesville basketball team. I was working at the Times at the time, and we were discussing who was going to be boys' player of the year for basketball. For the men I worked with, it was a no-brainer. It was George Mano. He scored the most points for Gainesville, so obviously he's the player of the year. And I said, no, it's Blake Sims. And they looked at me like I was crazy. And I said, if you take Blake Sims off that team, they don't win the first round of state.
Yeah.
I don't care whether he scores a lot or not. If you take him off, whoever's named the best should be the person who, if you take them out of the equation, everything is worse. Yeah. Everything looks different.
Yep.
And Blake Sims was named Player of the Year that year, as he should have been.
Yep.
Because he was the ultimate difference maker. He was the X factor, and that's KJ. And I'm not. Listen, Adam and I have been on the same page about this. I'm not trying to convince him, but when y'all think about MVPs in sports, right? The MVP isn't the most valuable scorer; it's the most valuable player, and that is the person who, if you take them out of the equation, everything looks different. And that's not always the person who scores the most points. It's not always the person who gets the most rebounds or who has the best batting average, right? It's not always that. It's the person who makes the biggest difference. And dadgummit, that was KJ. And that's all I'm going to say about that. We'll get off that topic now. Fired me up. Absolutely fired me up. But anyway, we mentioned this last week briefly. I want to talk about it again just to keep it in your minds, Red Elephants. Gainesville Day of Giving coming up in March 25th exactly at Johnny's Pizza from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Adam and I will be there doing what amounts to a live Behind the G with coaches, with some people who give of their time and energy to our athletic programs, with our student athletes, and with our alumni. We want this to be a special event. We're building it to be a special event. You all being part of it is what makes what we're envisioning actually come to fruition.
Absolutely. And this is, I'm excited about this one because last time we did it in the hub. So it was kind of like a controlled environment.
Right.
Appreciative for Clark over at Johnny's offering up for us to use their patio. So we kind of get to have a live audience. It'll be our first live audience.
Yeah.
So that's going to be kind of cool. But we're excited about offering up an opportunity for Gainesville to get back to Gainesville. We always have some great conversations. We have great conversations all the time, but this one's going to be a full day of it. It'll be exhausting, but it'll be fun, and we'll get some interesting people to that. We need a little feedback from our listeners. Who do you want to see? What alumni would you like for us to talk to?
Absolutely.
At the Gainesville Day of Giving. But we're going to have it set up on our website where people can go and donate all day long. We'll be recognizing those that do and participate, and it's going to be a great event, and I think it's going to be fun for us to do it as a live event. come out, while you're making your donations, come out and have a slice of pizza at Johnny's and show a little love with them. Enjoy the live event, because it's going to be a good time.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And there's nothing I love more than facilitating people telling their stories.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing I love more than doing that. There's nothing I love more than hearing people's stories. And when you pare it down to it just being the red elephants whose stories you're hearing, man, I'm all in.
Yeah.
And that's what the Gainesville Day of Giving is going to be. So we're super excited about it, and we'll keep mentioning it and reminding you. Again, follow us on social media at Go Red Elephants across all platforms, because we want y'all to participate. So yeah, keep that in the back of your heads. What else we got? Anything?
Let's see. Wrestling finished up last week.
Yep.
So
Finished up at state.
I almost feel like we're kind of getting to spring sports.
We are.
It's been busy. Baseball's had a couple of home games.
Yep.
They've been playing a lot of extra innings. Don't really know what that's all about. I think they just like keeping us around.
Man, listen, when they changed the time tonight from 5:30 to 6:30, I about quit on the spot. We should mention with wrestling. I'm glad you brought that up. Demaria Moore. Got a podium placement. Finished fourth.
Yep.
In his weight class. So kudos to him. Senior force.
Also picked up his 100th win.
That's right.
too. So that's on his.
What a great time to do that.
Yeah.
The state traditional meet.
Hey, they got
prime time to do it.
Got to take advantage of it while you did. So
absolutely love it.
Great season for Coach Turner and our boys and girls. But I know they're ready to go eat whatever they want to at this point.
Yeah, no doubt. Oh gosh. Oh man.
Maybe they'll be
it.
at Johnny's Pizza enjoying some pizza that day.
That's funny. That used to be my friends in high school who wrestled. They'd weigh in the mornings of a meet day, and then would not come to first period because they were at Waffle House at that time. The Long Street Cafe that is over on Pearl Nicks was actually called Frazier's, and same premise, exact same type of thing. Best biscuits, best breakfast. You could smoke in there too. None of us did that, but it was what it was.
Back in the day,
they were always at Frazier's eating their fill because they had made weight. That's funny. You brought back that memory. But anyway, we got a great show lined up for you folks. As per usual, I'll say. But this one even a little more special because Wayne Vickery is on. And yeah, he tells some great stories. He knows everybody and their brother. And he's got experiences with all of them. Tells some great stories. And if nothing else, what's he going to say? That's what you all.
It's always a question mark.
It's always a question mark. So we're going to see you on the other side of the break, folks. You're going to hear from Baylor Montoya with boys lacrosse, Ed Benson with tennis, and of course, Coach Vic. This is Behind the G.
Hey, Red Elephant family, I'm Adam Lindsey, and I am joined by the one and only Katie B.
That's right. We're here to talk about a G-enormous event coming your way on March 25th.
It's the Gainesville Day of Giving. We're setting up shop at the patio at Johnny's Pizza from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., and we're bringing the whole herd with us.
Yeah, the herd. I see what you did there. I also created that, so don't do it again. Seriously, though, Adam, we have a pretty tasty goal this year, don't we?
We do. Last time we did the Gainesville Day of Giving, this community helped us raise over $20,000 in a single day. This year, we're looking to shatter that record for our 26 varsity programs and over 1,000 student athletes.
So, folks, if you love Gainesville athletics, you need to toss, see what we did there, some support our way. Trust me, every dollar counts.
Okay. The pizza puns are getting a little cheesy, Katie.
Come on now. We're just trying to make sure our athletes have a slice of the pie that they need to succeed. Don't be the elephant in the room, Adam. Don't be the one in this room. And folks, don't be the elephant in the room who forgets to donate.
She's right. Whether you're an alum, a parent, or a fan of the G, head to GoRedElephants.com on March 25th and donate.
Let's show them that Gainesville is the upper crust, I did it again, of Georgia sports. Go Big Red. A couple of weeks ago, Behind the G fans, you heard from Louis Saldierna, our girls lacrosse coach, giving you a bit of a preview of the season. Now, girls lacrosse has played a couple matches already. Boys lacrosse yet to get started. Their first match, February 26th, at home. They're going to take on Peachtree Ridge, 7:30, doubleheader with girls lacrosse. Get your tickets at GoFan. Make sure you get out to support Big Red. Boys lacrosse in a transition season. Have a new head coach, have a new coaching staff, and we love to bring red elephants back into the fold, right? You all know this out there listening. We love to bring red elephants back into the fold because this is what they're passionate about, being a red elephant. And they translate that passion to our current student athletes. Well, that's the case for boys lacrosse this year. Baylor Montoya, what year did you graduate?
I graduated in 2021.
2021 graduate of Gainesville High School. Man, I feel old. 2021 graduate of Gainesville High School. Back in the fold for boys lacrosse. He played here. Now he's coaching here and going to translate that passion for not only lacrosse, but being a Red Elephant lacrosse player to a current crop of student athletes. Baylor, not only are we happy to have you here on Behind the G with us, but happy you're back at GHS and coaching our boys up. So thanks for being here.
Yes, absolutely. I love being here. I love this city. I love everything about it. More than happy to be back in the fold here again.
Oh, well, let's dive into the love of the city. How did you, I feel like I'm going to offend if I say this, but I'm just going to say it because it is what it is. That's even more reason to say it. Lacrosse is becoming a thing here. That's a positive way of putting it.
Yeah.
It's becoming a thing here. But frankly, when you played, not a thing here. Like it was a sport that, we had, but as far as the community, nobody knows much about the sport. So I'm interested to know how you got into it.
Yeah.
Well, there's a couple, different avenues I had found myself in it. There used to be Parks and Rec had a program for boys lacrosse in the city. This is probably 10 years ago. And actually, I never played in it. My brother participated in that. I was full-time in baseball back then. And when I got to high school, he was playing, so I got involved with it kind of on the back half of my career here, my 4 years at Gainesville. So I was never like
a diehard. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
I came to it very late, actually. My first full season was that 2020 COVID year at Gainesville, my junior year of high school.
So
that we didn't get to finish.
Sorry about that, man. We heard from the girls' coach, Louis Saldierna, who also came to the sport late in life and ended up falling in love with it and then teaching it to his siblings and now is coaching it. And again, putting that love of the sport into our current student athletes. Came into it late in life. What made you stay with it though? Like, why is it the thing you want to do?
It's just, it played for, I played very well in it. I was a very naturally, I could do it very well with the stick and with the stick skills, which is, what most people struggle with when they first get to it. And I just started to crave it, honestly. And maybe the 2020 COVID year thing helped with it too, having the season kind of cut in half there. That's when I decided I want to maybe pursue that collegiately.
Yeah.
And not having it made me want it even more. And I still think I carry some of that, on to this day, is the wanting more, just kind of wanting to absorb more, whether that be watching it, playing it when I was playing, now getting to coach it as well. So I've always just wanted it, always wanted to get more of the game.
So you were one of our very few alumni that have gone on to play college lacrosse. So talk to us a little bit about where you went, what that was like playing college lacrosse.
Yes, I went to LaGrange College down in LaGrange, Georgia, middle Georgia on the Alabama line, and that was an amazing opportunity. Obviously, doing the D3 thing is just for the love of it, and just because I love doing it, and it allowed me to continue to do that, but also to sharpen my mental skills for the game that I didn't quite, get earlier on in that career. Seeing how offenses and defenses at a high level operate, seeing how they get there, how physically they play, and seeing that, which was something that I got a little bit of here, but I didn't really get all of it. And now seeing how teams around us in the state are operating and bringing that to the table here. I think that's the greatest thing I took from LaGrange. Obviously, loved playing, loved getting that opportunity, but seeing how everything is supposed to be all the time for success, I think is kind of my biggest takeaway from that college experience.
Something that I have really enjoyed hearing, Adam, over the course of us doing this podcast and bringing in our coaches, specifically our coaches, whether it be assistant or head coach. Every single one of them over the course of our chat with them has talked about how much they love the sport they're coaching. Mm-hmm. And yes, you have to be obsessed with it. You have to be obsessed with the sport you're coaching in today's society because it demands it. It demands it.
Yep.
So even if you're not, you got to fake it. But they actually do, and how that love grew, and but then wanting to give it back in some capacity. So what made you want to come give it back here?
I see sports here succeed like nowhere else. Basketball is undefeated. Football,
Darn straight.
Exactly, was undefeated, made a run this year. And I know with the facilities and the body of students that we have, we as a boys lacrosse program can do that as well.
Yes.
And it just, in my opinion, it takes someone to do those things right. That I felt that I had learned how to do coming from that college player background, and I wanted to bring that here. I wanted to bring more success. I see teams from the counties all around us that are succeeding with lacrosse programs that have for many years put out dominant programs, Division I athletes, and I know for a fact with the resources and the students at this school that is possible for us as well. And I wanted to be a part of making that happen.
Love the vision.
Yeah, so let's go back just to, I'm going to connect your high school experience to where we are now. I remember back then having conversations. We were, we were constantly looking for another coach. There was just a constant transition there. But we also didn't have kids that that were kind of like you, that played another sport, and then when that didn't work out exactly how they wanted, they said, hey, I'll go try lacrosse. So we're starting from the ground up is really kind of my point. And you look at where you were at, had a very few that were taking it as seriously and were as passionate about it as you are. So then fast forward to where we're at now. How do you see that? That are we getting more kids that are more passionate about the sport? And what are you doing as the coach to kind of drive some of that passion or get kids more involved earlier?
Well, I've done my advertising kind of campaign around campus in a couple different ways. On the morning announcements, doing stuff just for this year, like, hey, come try lacrosse. Get out here, get on the field, get a stick in your hand. Let's see what we can do. And that's worked out very well. I've got a full roster for this year with not a lot of graduating seniors. So at least for the next couple of years, we're set up very well to have a very successful seasons with a very large roster. In the future, and this is something we did as a player, was we actually advertised at the middle schools. Mm-hmm. We took a morning. Got approved with the principal for some of the students to be late to that first period class, and we got out there, put all of our pads on, just sat in the middle school hallway, had some film rolling, talked to the kids about the game. Hey, this is lacrosse. If you've never seen it before, watch it here. This is what we do. This is my position. This is what I do. This is that. The other position. This is what they do. And I want to get back to doing that in some capacity, getting at the middle school level with our advertising, because again, a lot of people. I know this. They get to the high school and they're like, "Oh, what are those goals out there for? What are those students carrying around? What are those sticks for?" And I want to get that started early.
Try to catch them earlier.
Yes,
yeah.
Exactly. So that I've got 8th graders that are coming up, maybe playing some JV ball, like sitting in on practices, and then they get here as freshmen and they can catch and throw. They can physically are ready to play the game, and then that's 4 years of development, which is how a program should be. You get players who know the basics as freshmen, and then you develop them into those, college level athletes as they progress. So you get them started earlier in middle school, knowing the game, understanding it, having played it on a basic level, and then you get them here and you develop them from there.
So here's what's funny, and I full on mean funny, haha, for me right now. You're 23?
Yes.
Nailed it. Adam, you have to explain sometimes to coaches who have been in this coaching world 3 times as long as he has.
Yeah.
Exactly what he just described.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's it's unfortunate, and certainly in high school athletics, you have to build a strong base. And you don't always have the kids that are coming to you with all the skills.
Yeah.
And we have the conversation all the time. What are we doing for our middle school programs? And there are times where I don't want this to be taken the wrong way, but our middle school programs are more important than our high school programs, because if we're not
developing,
we're not developing and feeding into them, then we don't have the right things coming to us.
Right.
So it's important for us to have those conversations, and the coaches certainly here, because we're at a luxury where we are 6-12 programs. And for our really good programs, they're thriving in the middle school, and they're saying, how can we get deeper down?
Yeah, they're reaching those elementary.
How
Yep.
can we get to those third, fourth, and fifth graders?
Yeah, just I love that you've got that vision for a program, Baylor, that really, it's just you've mentioned been year to year, not by design, but by demand, with coaches leaving or them just not being the right fit, or sometimes you're just finding somebody because you've got a crop of boys who want to play and they don't have a coach. So, so I appreciate that you have that vision, that you see that where it actually starts is in development young, because we say all the time here, and unfortunately it's something our coaches deal with. If you're getting the equipment your first day as a ninth grader, you're not going to have a successful program, right? If the first time you play is as a ninth grader, there's no way high school athletics can be successful. So along with that vision, you got to have some drive. You got to have an ambition. Baylor, where does that drive and ambition come from for you?
It was being in college and loving playing and winning so much in college. Because,
he said that with gritted teeth. I love it.
Here, when I was here, we won some games, but we never, did any, deep playoff sort of runs. But in college, getting, a chance to play in conference, tournament games, traveling all over the Southeast, doing that, and getting meaningful minutes and meaningful games. It's something that is, it's a feeling that I'm very grateful to have been able to feel. And I know that that's something that, again, can be made possible here for our student athletes. And I want to see that from the side of a coach as well. What preparations have I done for my players to be prepared for this level of game and this level of success? The game plan that I've installed, the film that we watched, looking back on the season, all of that, I want to, experience that success, not only from the player perspective that I have, but also from that coach's perspective of feeling that, we did everything right. My players have played up to that potential, and we've been successful because of that. That's kind of where I want this to be, for myself and the rest of our coaching staff, because I know it's somewhere we can be. We've got, very intelligent guys in the building on this staff, both on offense and on defense, and I know that we have prepared and can continue to prepare our players very well. So I want to see more of that from my perspective now, success as a player and then being able to succeed as a coach too.
I'm going to give all of you out there listening, maybe this might be TMI, but when I was 23 years old, fresh off a Division I and Division II college athletic career, which being a college athlete is tough, right?
Absolutely.
It's tough. I was just invested and interesting in the day drinking I could do because we weren't ever able to engage in real college activities when I was a college athlete. And now we have Baylor. Do you hear the things he's saying? It's absolutely impressive.
Yeah, it is. It's like he's been a coach for 20 years, and he's got it figured out. Now we just got to see.
We got to see it come to fruition. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Because just being really honest, I always. Gainesville was one of the first schools to, when the GHSA added lacrosse, Gainesville jumped in head first without a feeder program, without anything to support it. So it's lack of a better way to put it, it's kind of been floundering, since we started. So I think what I'm excited about from my position is the fact that we've got a girls coach who's, been steady and consistent. Hopefully adding Baylor, be steady and consistent. And now can we see those programs grow because we've got strong leadership that understands, what it takes to get to be a competitive level. And all that being said, at our classification, our area and region is not easy in lacrosse.
By
any stretch of the imagination. So there has to be a real strong base built for us to be able to compete at that level.
Connectivity, stability, both keys to success. So Baylor, you've been practicing with the boys. Again, first match coming up February 26th at home against Peachtree Ridge. It'll be part of a doubleheader with our girls. I don't remember who our girls play, but they start at 5:30. Boys will start up at 7:30. Get your tickets at GoFan. Get out to see Big Red. You've been with the boys in practice and been watching them. What's your feel for them? What do you think strengths, weaknesses are going to be this year?
The defense is stellar. There's no other way that I can put it. Physical defense. And that's, where I talk about with the weight program at Gainesville. You can see it on the defensive side of the ball is they get out, they get after you. They're very fast and very physical. I think that is honestly our biggest strength as a team is the defensive side of the ball. But on offense as well, we do have the same speed that comes especially out of the midfield. And I was a midfielder. So that's kind of how I've tailored my offense is to be, midfield super heavy on the fast physical, dodging down the hill, getting to the cage. And we've got strength there as well. We got some upperclassmen, some seniors, but we also have some younger guys, some sophomores that are getting some meaningful minutes in practice when this is their first year playing. But they've taken to the stick well. They've been able to put themselves in those positions to earn those spots. So while defense is absolutely going to be our biggest strength as a team, I think that on offense, the same strength that defense has carries over in the physical and the speed aspect of that as well. So yeah, that would be an answer to that. The defense absolutely is going to be something to watch this year.
As we wrap up with you, I almost called you Joseph, and that's your brother. Yep. So shout out Joseph Montoya. Love you, kid. As we wrap up with you, though, you're a smart dude. And if y'all can't tell that, do you even have your headphones on? Smart dude. What did you study in college?
I got a dual degree. My majors were in English, Writing and Publication Studies, and in history.
Man, let's go! Finally, nobody said science or math. Let's go! See, birds of a feather. Me and Baylor gonna stick together.
You people.
Whatever. Yeah. So, what interests you in the writing, the publication? What was the driving force?
Well, even before I decided I wanted to come back and do lacrosse, I always wanted to be a teacher as well. First in history, and then I, blossomed, got that second part in the English, and that's what I'm currently teaching. And I love that. Love reading, and I love seeing students love reading as well. And that's what, you get to see in the classroom a lot when you teach it, is that they take to a text well. And that's really what I like about that, is that reading and understanding and enjoying those texts that we kind of give them is what I like most about that field. But I really just got into it just because I liked reading. And I was like, well, I've got extra time on like the academic side of the schedule in terms of credit hours. Let me, look at getting some of this English classes and getting into some of that. And I really enjoyed that.
What's your favorite genre?
Classics, like older,
like Wuthering. Are you a Wuthering Heights fan? You're a Jane Austen fan.
I have read some Jane Austen and some Wuthering Heights. Yes, okay. So I will be seeing that movie here pretty soon. When
you say classics, give me an idea. Are we talking about like Iliad, or are we talking about like Mark Twain?
More on the Mark Twain side of things.
Gotcha.
I like a lot of Leo Tolstoy is my favorite author, the Russian.
Right.
But in terms of American works, really like the works of I like Twain a lot. I really enjoy reading a guy by the name of Cormac McCarthy, who's wrote in the 80s and 90s, but has put out some amazing works of fiction. So that's really kind of where I gravitate to, is more the newer side of things.
Yeah, I got you.
In terms of, classics, not new in terms of literature. There's new literature coming out all the time.
Right.
But, late 1800s to, all the way through 1900 is my stuff.
Last question, what's your current read?
I'm reading Crime and Punishment by Dostoevsky right now.
Yeah.
That's what I'm on. After practice, if I need to settle down a little bit, just sit down.
Listen, I get you. I get you. That is exactly how I do it as well, except I have my Kindle. Now, I do love a good book. I want a physical book, right? And I have plenty of them. But because I have plenty of them, now we go to a Kindle, right? So, yeah, I appreciate that side of you, and that is exactly how I calm down as well, which probably means I need to be reading at work a lot, don't I?
I'm sorry, I fell asleep. Y'all were talking about something, and I just dozed right out.
Adam has a hard time reading a 4-line text message, and not because illiterate, just because he zones out. Can't do it. Baylor, absolute pleasure getting to know you through these last few minutes. Cannot wait to see what you do, and not just with our boys lacrosse program, but here at Gainesville. I appreciate you've got a passion for the school, for being a Red Elephant, and I appreciate that you're back here and in a position to instill that into a current generation of student athletes and students alike. So appreciate you so much for being here. Appreciate your vision. And we'll have you on again soon, man. Thanks.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Whether in his role as a coach or an administrator, our next guest on Behind the G knew his way to a ring and probably still has the jewelry maker on speed dial. From 1989, to 2008, Wayne Vickery coached Gainesville baseball to 470 wins, 13 region championships. And from 1996 to 2002, an incredible run for those of us who were in high school at that time. He led the program to 5 state titles in 7 seasons. Vickery also served as athletic director for the good old Red Elephants, overseeing programs that won state in girls basketball, girls golf, boys soccer, football, and boys golf. What a time to be alive. Yesterday, Coach's already cemented legacy was literally put in stone as the new performance center for Red Elephant Baseball was named in his honor. Coach, pleasure to have you here with us. Gonna need you to let me know when I need to mute the mic, okay? Okay, there we go. So first and foremost, we are, thrilled to have you in here with us. A legend at Gainesville High School, a legend in Gainesville. Very simple question, but I'm hoping for a complex answer. How did yesterday feel? How did Monday feel?
Very special. A lot of special seeing former players come back. The day before, I got a lot of texts from people who couldn't be here that was out of town. Out of the 40-plus years that I was in education, we never had we had spring breaks, but I've never heard of breaks in February. But everybody texted me and said we're out of town on winter break. And
yeah,
I think they
winter break number
I think
2.
School could get over probably in April if they quit having so many breaks.
You're not wrong on that one.
No, can we put him in charge of just that's it? That's what it is.
The calendar.
That's it.
Hey, so Coach, whenever you look back over your 46-year career as baseball coach and athletic director, and that's always where you and I have been able to conversate and bond. Outside of your baseball teams, which one of the teams that won state championships did you appreciate the most?
Well, it would have to be 96 because in 94 and 95 we got there. Adam, back then you could only take 2 teams to the state tournament from your region. It wasn't 4.
Yeah.
And we'd beat Lovett in 94 and 95 in the region, and we were the number 1 team. And we got to the semifinals both years, and I got beaten. And I said, we're going to be the Minnesota Vikings of high school baseball. I said, we're never going to get over the hump. And if anybody wants to know which one was special, it'd have to be 96 because we came so close in 94 and 95. And 96, we scored 10 runs after 2 outs. And that's probably kind of unheard of. And that would have to be the special year.
When you look at the teams that you coached to state titles, 96, 97, 98, and then 2001, 2002, what is it about the makeup of those teams that or was it different every year? Was it not a key denominator?
Well, 96 and 97, we basically had the same players. In 97, we had everybody coming back except one kid.
Yeah.
And, we were preseason number 1. We go in, we lose the first game of the year to North Hall, of all people.
Of all people, exactly.
Of all people. We're ranked number 1 in the state. But then we roll off like 29 in a row and win the state championship. Then in 98, we lose everybody except one player.
Good old Victor Minicow, yeah.
One player coming back. He was pretty special. Victor
Minicow. He was good. He was decent. Yeah, he did.
That would be special too. We wasn't preseason number 1.
Right.
And we came within 1 strike of being eliminated to even get to the state playoff against Loganville. And a kid named Eric Smithson gets a 2-out, 2-strike hit. We go on, get into playoffs, and somehow or another we just keep winning.
Right.
And that was pretty special too. They all pretty special years.
Yeah, no doubt.
96 would be the one.
I look back on those days, and of course, when you're talking about somebody's legacy, and we go through an event like we went through Monday at Ivey-Watson Field, where you're seeing all faces. I mean, Coach Paul Gilbert was there. Taught me typing as a 10th grader at Gainesville High School, right? And you had Coach Bruce Miller there, and Jeremy Kemp was there, who was a longtime assistant here and then a head coach. And then some of your former players, the nostalgia just gets to going, right? Those juices are flowing. And I think back to, obviously, for us students and those who came to the ball games, 96 was special. But 97 really was the one to me, not just because I was a senior, but we were on the road at Lovett. John Shirtholz's son was playing shortstop for the Lions. And Brad Chester hits a home run. Blake Davis not able to play in that series. He'd gotten suspended. I think he took to fight in the semifinals. I'm not real sure. But, you had one of your stars out. And Brad Chester has one of those seminal moments you mentioned Eric Smithson having in 98, and it happened to be in the championship series. I'll never forget where I was sitting. I'll never forget the feeling. Just that special, special moment. So in light of that, I got to ask, all of you Red Elephants out there know, Gainesville baseball wins a state title. What do? We jump in Lake Lanier. When they won it at Lovett, we jumped in the Chattahoochee. What was the sweeter wet bath for you? Lake Lanier or jumping in the water at Lovett?
Well, at Lovett, I thought we'd won the game and lost all the players going down to Chattahoochee.
See y'all later. We'll pick you up at the next out.
And what was so funny about the game at Lovett, when Brad Chester hits that two-run homer, he stops at second base. He thought he'd hit a ground rule double. I said, well, the umpire will tell you to go back.
Right. Yeah. Just absolutely great memories. I am curious, though, and I know our listeners are as well. Everybody knows the numbers. They know the moments. They know the history. But they want to know about you. And that's part of what we do here on Behind the G is pull the curtain back on Gainesville athletics and thus those legendary figures that have been part of Gainesville athletics, who they are, what they're about, what makes them do the things they did and become the legends they've become. And in that vein, how did you get into coaching?
Well, it's kind of strange. Back in the early 80s, I was a pretty good umpire.
Why does that not surprise me? God, hold on. Time out. Keep your thought. I know for people your age, it's hard to do that. But keep your thought. Can you imagine him behind home plate? Hold on. So there's this trend nowadays, right? And I've seen it across the board with our high school baseball teams that have come that we've seen play. When the batter thinks it's ball four, when they think it's ball four, they don't wait on a call. When they think it's ball four, boy, they're going down first base. And 9 times out of 10, the ump, even if it's not a strike, will be like, "Hey, can you imagine Coach Vickery?"
Oh, wearing them out.
Just wearing them out.
And can you imagine him getting into it with Chan?
No, that'd be awesome. Listen,
the way Chan likes to argue with umpires.
I'd pay money just for that. Forget the baseball game. Please continue with your thoughts, sir.
Well,
how did you get into coaching?
Like I said, I was a pretty good umpire back in the early 80s, and a guy named Jim Lofton was the head baseball coach at East Hall. And back then, East Hall really had a great baseball team. They had Jeff Cooper.
Yes, they did.
The Chesley Watsons.
Right.
And to be honest, I'm not bragging on myself, but I'd called a couple of semifinals baseball state tournament games. And all of a sudden, Don Golden had resigned here to become the head football coach at Jackson County.
Yeah.
And the season had already started. Third game of the year.
Oh, wow.
Gainesville was like 2-1 or 3-0, whatever. And Coach Gruens came to me and he said, how about being the baseball coach? I said, Coach, let's just let Coach Golden finish out the year. He said, Coach, you don't understand. I said, Don Golden's taking the job at Jackson County. He's no longer a Red Elephant anymore.
we can't have him.
I said, well, the transition would be a lot easier if we just let Don finish the year. He said, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
The very first day.
God, I love Coach Gruen. Yeah,
very first day, I have a fight at home plate. And I'm out throwing batting practice in the batting cage, and I look up, and they're fighting at home plate. It's a guy named Aaron Stevens and Jason Brewer. In fact, Jason's dad just died. It probably taught me more about baseball than anybody. And I said, when I got home, I said, why in the world did I ever take this job? Because I was umpiring 4 or 5 days a week.
Yeah.
And the kind of the rest is history. Worked real hard. I had two, at the end of the year, I had 2 Roark brothers that were helping me. Rhett Roark was like number 1 in the Terry Dean Business School in Athens. He would drive back from Athens, Georgia every day to help me coach baseball. Mm-hmm. Of course, Deuce was a great player here.
Yes,
Rhett
he
was a great player here. They have pitch counts now. We're playing Lovett one year for the region championship, and Red had thrown 148 pitches. I walk towards the mound. We're down at Lovett playing that little old Cracker Box baseball field. I walked to the mound. He said, "You just turn right around and go right back to the dugout." He said, "I'm never going to pitch again." He said, "I'm a position player." He was going to Middle Georgia as a baseball player. And Durwood Pennington, who was my dearest best friend, he said, "Keep him in there. He's still getting them out."
Yeah, that's it.
148 pitches later, we win the game, and Rick gets the win.
148 pitches. That's incredible. So you bring up two things here. I'm going to talk about the latter first. Why Lovett? You just mentioned Lovett and their did you say Cracker Jack Field, Cracker Box Field? One of the richest schools in Georgia. Dumpiest facilities.
They had a folding table with two folding chairs for a press box.
Well, even in '97, playing for the state title, there was a dump. I mean, and
it's not a dump anymore.
No, it's not a dump anymore. So was their their softball field was too. I mean, it was. We were basically the benches were in the woods. But I digress. The first thing you brought up, and that is Coach Don Brewer, a heralded figure in the community of Gainesville, but obviously for us Red Elephants, what he did to bolster the athletic programs here, while not directly being a part of it, will never be matched. And more than that, he was a great man. And I don't want to eulogize him here. He did just pass away a couple of weeks ago, but it segues into something I think it'd be interesting to hear your thoughts on. And that's this, all these kids play travel ball now, right? And it's a money grab, and they're not really learning about the game. Don Brewer coached the Legion team here for years, and as part of that, created these players for Gainesville High School that went on to do unprecedented things. Tell us a little bit about your relationship with Coach Brewer, more importantly, about what he did sort of behind the scenes for Gainesville baseball.
Well, like I said, he was a Legion baseball coach here for many, many years, and when baseball season would be over with, I would try to get my players put on the Legion team.
Yeah.
And, it all boils down to money now. If you can write your check now, you can be on a travel baseball team.
Yep.
I don't care. I'm probably stepping on a lot of toes, but all this 7-on-7 football, all this basketball,
it's all
the money grab.
Volley.
Yep.
Somebody said it even gone to volleyball now.
Oh, listen, it's everywhere. Yep.
It's all about the God Almighty dollar.
Yes. But what did Coach Brewer do to really help get you those five? So, you wanted your kids playing for him. Why?
He told me one time, KDB, he said, "You got the worst looking 7-0 baseball team I've ever seen." I said, "Well, Coach Brewer," I said, "I'd rather be 7-0 and look bad than be 0-7 and look good."
Yeah, no doubt.
I think his work habit. Mm-hmm. I'm not very smart, but I work hard. And Coach Brewer, I think, taught me that. Him and Deuce and Rhett Roark's dad, Joe Roark, was a construction teacher that he's taught. But I would say Don Brewer and Joe Roark taught me more about coaching baseball than any two people that I know of. We practiced on Sunday afternoon. My wife used to tell me, she said, "You're going to have moms calling you." Mm-hmm. But I tell you what, I said, "You don't ever have to come on Sunday, but just remember, I make out the lineup card on Monday."
Amen.
Gotta love that. Coach, I want to go back to yesterday and the event. Obviously, Ivey-Watson is a very historical field. The addition of the Vic, named after you. You got to walk it yesterday and kind of see that facility. So give us your opinion, what you think about that facility.
Unbelievable. I'm just glad I don't live in a city and have to pay city taxes.
You had to find a way to work that one in, didn't you?
No, but seriously, what did you think about the facility?
Oh, it's unbelievable. Words just can't describe when you walk in that door. I mean, it's just, I've been to a lot of college places. Nobody has a batting facility any nicer than the Atlanta Braves. I've been to theirs. Their indoor facility is not as nice as what I saw yesterday.
Wow. Wow.
Isn't it crazy that for the first time, at least this is crazy to me, and Coach, you'll chime in on it, for the first time, our baseball players will have a locker room, a place to not change in the parking lot.
Well, we got in a little trouble back when I was coaching, and our bus broke down one day, and back then we played games at 4:00 and 4:30. We didn't play at 5:55 when it's freezing cold, and you get
TBS
home
time.
at midnight. Brush broke down, and I told my kids just to change in the parking lot. Mm-hmm. And little did I know, we parked in a church parking lot, and there's a daycare center going on there. Well,
He was offering free shows.
Before the sun went down that night, the superintendent had called me and said, Coach, he said, your players changed clothes in the parking lot in front of a bunch of preschoolers. He said, we're going to have to go over there tomorrow and apologize. Well, I took 3 or 4 of my seniors. Robert Jones, who was there yesterday, was one of them, and I took him there, and we apologized for changing clothes in the parking lot going to Johnson High School.
But your kids were used to that.
They were. Yeah. We won a lot of games dressing out of the back of our cars.
That's right.
That's what everybody's used to. It's almost, kind of the nostalgic thing. Our kids will never get the opportunity to dress in the parking lot.
Yeah. Listen, there was something, and it's crazy to say, but when softball was played at Lanier Point, there was something honorable. Like you looked forward to, it was a tradition thing. Mm-hmm. You looked forward to being at that level where you could dress in the back of the Lanier Point parking lot. That's where we dressed too. There was just something. Now, I'd rather our kids have the facility they have, but there was something you kind of took pride in that. It mentioned that you were a Gainesville baseball, a Gainesville softball player. Anyway, I'm glad they don't have to do that now though.
So, Coach, when you've been, I think every honor that you could possibly rack up as a baseball coach, as an athletic director, to finally have your name on a building that will live forever. How does that make you feel about the legacy that you've left here?
Pretty special. I'm up there now with Pam Ware.
Here's the thing. It's hard to have a nice, not conversation, but like a deep, heartfelt with Coach Vickery.
That ain't happening.
It's just not happening. You had to bring up him. Because honestly, I was going to ask, you've mentioned names that are so familiar to the Gainesville community throughout this conversation. You're hired by Bobby Gruen, whose name is on the football field. You worked forever with Pam Ware, whose name is on the theater here on the campus of Gainesville High School. You were the athletic director when we won obviously you were here when we won state baseball championships. We won the only state football title. And Bruce Miller's name is on the practice field here at Gainesville High School. And now you stand among those giants. And I know for me, who in your heyday is when I was at Gainesville High School. And I can't say the same for a Bobby Gruen.
Yeah.
I can't say the same for a Bruce Miller. I can for Pam Ware, but I wasn't in theater. And so I'll say this for me, just overjoyed for you.
Yep.
That the most accomplished baseball coach in the history of Gainesville baseball, and it is a vast history, and it's tradition rich. The most accomplished coach literally has his name cemented at Gainesville High School and within Gainesville athletics. You'll never know what you did for us at Gainesville High School, coaching those teams, the memories you made for us. Just, oh man, wonderful. And so while you can't be heartfelt and you're going to make jokes, I'm proud to know you. I'm so proud you were a coach at Gainesville. And yesterday, that building being called the Vic, kudos to you and Dr. Jeremy Williams for coming up with that name, because it's perfect.
Yeah, it is.
It's as tongue-in-cheek as the man sitting to my left is. You know what I mean? It's perfect. It's perfect.
It is. And certainly from my standpoint, I'm in year 9 here and have certainly enjoyed getting to know Coach Vic. Was actually his supervising administrator when he was still here as a driver's ed teacher, and had to help him fill out all of his TEKS information, get him logged onto the computer. But always enjoy the banter, the conversation, the advice. When I need it. So certainly,
I never knew Adam ever took any of my advice.
He does, absolutely. So here's the thing: he takes it, but he takes it in the aftermath. Like in the immediate, he's totally ignoring you and not even thinking. But then he'll come back later and he will have done exactly what you said.
Yep.
It's how it works. Coach, I love you. I've always loved you. You're one of my favorite guys. And when all is said and done, what a pleasure to have been at Gainesville High School when you were. What a pleasure to have gotten to see you coach.
Well, you just think, Katie, but your dad hired me in 1978.
He did.
I've come a long way since 1978.
You absolutely have. You were talking about Jim Lofton, the baseball coach. My dad took over for Coach Lofton as the baseball coach at East Hall. But yeah, my dad gave Coach Vic so I guess technically, can my dad get a building named after him?
Well, we'll go talk to East
the
Hall
lineage
about that.
runs deep. You know what I'm saying? The lineage runs deep. It was a pleasure having you on Behind the G. But more importantly, thanks for being a Red Elephant. And I loved what you said on Monday, that I'm going to be a Gainesville Red Elephant until they put me in the hearse. There, but for the grace, just let's go, because me too. I love it.
I'm going to continue to go. I'm going to a basketball game tonight.
That's it.
It's my life.
Yeah. That's a pretty good life to live.
Absolutely.
A Red Elefantastic one. Coach, we love you so much. Thanks for being on with us.
Thanks for having me.
Gainesville tennis is back in the swing of things. 3 matches already under their belt, and we aren't even to the actual spring of that spring sport. But I digress. Joining us for a program update, Director of Red Elephant Tennis, Coach Ed Benson. Coach, how you doing today? You having a good day?
I'm well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. It's a joy to have you on. First and foremost, and I said this when we were talking to our guest, Coach Wayne Vickery, legendary coach here at Gainesville High School. We like to pull the curtain back, Gainesville High School athletics, and a lot of that has to do with letting our listeners, Red Elephants out there, the Gainesville community out there listening to us, know who our coaches are, right? Know who our student athletes are. Not just X's and O's, not just, hey, how did you feel about the game, but, what got them to the place they are. So with that said, tell our audience a little bit about yourself, how you got into coaching, how you got to Gainesville.
Oh, goodness. So my story for Gainesville as a community starts back in 1996. I moved down from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I came to Riverside Military Academy. It was I was going to try it for a year. Showed up at the school, learned about how to dress a certain way, look a certain way, wear a uniform, and the plan was 1 year. Mm-hmm. 1 year, came down. I was primarily a football coach. Came down, and my girlfriend at the time, then my wife soon after, we fell in love with Gainesville. We fell in love with the South. We fell in love with Georgia. Her parents lived in Augusta. It was a natural fit. Mm-hmm. So we stayed. Coaching initially for me was mostly football. Mm-hmm. So that was my background and crew. I rowed in college.
Oh, okay.
So I went to Villanova, rowed for 3 years, 2 years varsity, and then made that transition out of college athlete to I got to finish college and student teaching, whatnot. So, but I came down, football was sort of my thing. As my daughter, so flash forward a few years, married, about to have our first child, and my wife at the time she was a pharmacist, so that was all consuming. So I needed something less than football. I played tennis in high school, so that was a transition to tennis, and I fell in love with tennis. I forgot how much I enjoyed playing it. I enjoyed, everything from watching it. I think I'm one of the few people that can sit there on a Saturday and watch tennis at the back and forth, and I just find it mesmerizing. So I got back into coaching tennis, did that for 6 years at Riverside. I was the men's head coach there. I was region director at one point, and that was a crossover between GHSA to GISA. We went to Georgia Independent Schools and had a great success in that. Then left Riverside, went into public education. I was in Hall County Schools for 6 years. Kind of fell out. Daughter really was starting to progress through elementary. And when I came to Gainesville, so flash forward again, back to Riverside as a college counselor, met Jamie Green, absolutely just followed him to wherever he needed me to go because I felt so strongly about him as a leader. Then made this jump to Gainesville. And it's funny, people say to me, like, you've been doing this a while. And I say, I've got the energy and vitality of a 20-something as a teacher and as a coach because I finally found my home. I love Gainesville.
I love
awesome.
Gainesville. Man, we love hearing that.
And I think you're 100% right. That's why I was drawn to you. As being one of our coaches, I think you're 100% right. You do have that youth vitality in you when you're teaching and when you're coaching. I have to go back to, you mentioned being a football coach. can't see it. So what? Tell me a little bit more about that. What did you coach? What was your specialty?
That's fun. So when I first came to the South,
I say that because you're very mild mannered.
Oh,
right. You know, there aren't many football coaches that are very mild mannered, but you pull that off.
So when I came down, I had already coached 3 years at my previous high school that I attended. My dad was the athletic director there. I worked they had a junior high, so I was coaching junior high football and then working with the varsity, mostly linebackers and linemen. So when I came down and interviewed, they said, well, what position? So I told them, I said, really, my comfort's going to be the line. I know line very well. They're looking at me and they're like,
yeah. Look, I would say the same thing. You've either got to be 6'4" and cut, or you've got to be shorter with a big
Are you
belly.
sure you're not confusing line with kickers? That's funny. That's awesome.
So the rowing thing kind of threw me. How did you get into rowing?
Right?
How did you get into rowing?
So when I went to Villanova, I had this lofty dream, goal, I'm going to walk on.
Yeah.
Walk on, right? And I had a father who was like, if you think you can do it, you should do it.
So walk on to crew. Start from how you even got into rowing to begin with. Like, all things relative. We're talking about back in the late 90s when the Olympics were here.
Right.
The whole kayak and rowing thing is relatively new to the South.
Right.
But obviously not if you were doing it enough in your youth to want to do it in college.
So I never rowed. I'd never been in a boat.
Okay.
When I got to college.
Oh, okay.
So I was, and like I was saying, I was initially thinking about walking on to the football, and I went to Andy Talley, was the head coach at the time, walked in his office, and they had a time for those people who'd walk-ons to come in. And I think they did it intentionally. You had to come in after they just come off the field for one of the earlier practices, so you get a real good glimpse of what you're getting ready to get into. In that conversation, when they came to me and they asked me my vertical and my 40 and my shuttle, and they looked at me and they said, so, receiver, secondary, I'm assuming? And I was like, no, the linebacker. And they just said, high school is such a special experience for so many athletes that this is something we feel like it should probably stay in high school. We can't stop you from coming out.
Yeah.
But we're going to highly discourage the idea. So I had grown up, as I said, in the Philadelphia area. I had seen shells on the Schuylkill River, kind of always thought that's something I'd like to try. I showed up for tryouts, and it was like 2 weeks of just intense PT, a lot of running, a lot of circuit training. There's 120 of us, and he told us there's 2 weeks, and in 2 weeks' time, there'll be 20 of you. 100 will drop. We don't cut anybody, but
They can't take it. Yeah.
you can't handle it. So at the end of 2 weeks, I was still there. And then they finally put me in a boat, and they said, okay, this is how a boat works. And I fell in love with crew. I did.
Really?
3 years later, I was unfortunately in a position where Villanova was going into varsity. It was a club when I first started, but they had just transitioned into varsity funding, and they had kids lined up from high school that were just bigger and better. You can look back and have sour milk, but there was not. I mean, I knew that the person in particular, he was 18. He was better than I was. He was.
Crazy.
So it is what it is. Stepped out and did JV for a semester, and then decided, my coaches and I both agreed it's probably time for me to move on. So
What an interesting freaking story.
It is, absolutely. You always hear, or in the movies when they talk about somebody doing crew that had never done it before, and they teach them, and they turn out into be really special, But now we know something.
Now we know. Coach
Thank
Benson,
you.
yes. From
Thank you.
linebacker to rower. Absolutely love that. Do you pay attention to the sport still? Like, do you go out to the venue, the Olympic venue, especially when they've got great competitions out there, but also we're at that time of year where colleges are going on spring break, and colleges that are far north of us come down here to practice. And it's a really cool time to see those young people participating, but also to see, as like you just mentioned, the work that goes into it. So do you still pay attention?
So I was involved with crew, I'm trying to think now. So in 96 to 2002, I coached crew. And then I was out of it for a bit, and then I was back in 2013.
Okay.
And I did 5 years for that stint. So it's been on and off. It wasn't something that I was actively doing in between, but as I'm getting older, I definitely see retirement for me is going to be, connected with crew again. It's great exercise, even for us old guys. You can still get out there, still get the work in, the cardio in. You're not necessarily at race pace.
Right.
So if you've ever watched the Olympics, I mean, that's the elite. But just be able to, I would be happy if I could do 3-4 miles a day in the shell. I would be thrilled. I would love that.
This is what is so great about this venture we took on in August when we had a discussion. The things we've learned about our colleagues, our friends that literally wouldn't come up in normal conversation. Like Coach Benson is in and out of here all the time. Hey, how you doing? But the fact to be able to sit down and get kind of in depth with everybody is a very fortunate opportunity, I feel like. And gosh, I've just learned so much in the first 5 minutes. That's awesome.
And we haven't even made it to tennis.
We haven't even made it to tennis yet. We haven't made it to Gainesville tennis yet. The most important brand of tennis.
Absolutely.
That's so. Speaking of, that's a beautiful segue, Adam. Speaking of Gainesville tennis, a program that has sort of been one-sided in its history here at Gainesville High School. If you look back, it's always been kind of the girls that were very, very good. And the boys would make it to state and whatnot, but it was the girls that won a state title or played for state titles or whatever the case may be. And now things have kind of evened out a little bit, but I'm interested to hear from you what this year is going to look like with our tennis program.
I would say for the boys, the boys are still strong this year. At number 1, you've got Zane Loggins. Number 2, Saxon Chambliss. Number 3, I think I know Rhett Griffin played one match, and I think Bridger Young is the other singles player. I think doubles, they're not quite as strong right now, but they should be consistent throughout this season, 3-2, 4-1 win-wise. For the girls' side, we lost quite a few.
Graduated a ton last year.
We did. So we lost 3 seniors. We lost a rising junior, to Vandermeer Tennis Academy in Hilton Head. So we're starting with a very young, fresh group. I have 3 returning that played some varsity last year, and then I have a group of freshmen that I see a lot of potential. I think they're definitely going to become great players, but they're still making that transition, and they're still trying to figure out sort of where they fit. I think they played a lot of doubles last year, so that's sort of a challenge right now. I have good numbers, I have young talent, I have some inexperience, and we need to figure out where we're going to slot them, how we're going to keep them challenged and engaged. So it's going to be, I think, a bit of JV and varsity. I think we're going to see probably for the next 2 to 3 weeks still some movement in the lineup. By March, we'll have it locked down for the region, and then moving forward, we're just going to do the best we can to try to hang with some really, really tough competition.
Yeah, no doubt.
Well, and I think that's one of the big things I think people have to understand when it comes to tennis. The region that we're in has a whole lot to do with it. We are right now in one of the toughest regions in the state with the Fulton County schools, which have kids that have been playing tennis since they're 5 and been getting lessons since they were 6 and are playing in tennis tournaments all over the country over the summer. Compared to 4 years ago when we were in in Region 8, we went 4 straight years winning region titles for boys and girls varsity and JV. And to go to this region and can't make the playoffs.
Right. Well, and I think back to the Forsyth region too, and that was
exactly.
It's a like thing that we're in right now.
Yep. So it's just one of those things you got to understand. Who you're lining up against. Who we're lining up against has changed a little bit. I mean, our non-region schedule, we kind of play all the same foes as typical to get us ready for the season. But our region schedule's tough. Talk about some of our region foes and what you see out of them.
Ooh. So right now, I would say Milton, Chattahoochee, Roswell, those are going to be probably our tougher matches. They're solid. They were young last year, solid across the board. I don't expect any difference from them. Second year, we won last year pretty handily. I feel like that's something that still should be attainable for us. Johns Creek, that's the challenge. Yeah. That was close last year. We played them back-to-back. We played them as the last region match that we played in the first round in the region tournament. I would say, and I even said to the girls at the end of last season, like, that's the benchmark. That's the benchmark for this year. We beat Johns Creek. We are moving in the right direction. Yep. This program can gain momentum. We can do this. That said, that was before I knew I was going to lose one in particular.
Yeah.
So we're kind of readjusting maybe some of those goals. Right now, I would say the biggest goal I have for the team is I want energetic, enthusiastic, good attitude. When you find yourself in a position where you're losing game after game, the worst thing you can do is go into that headspace and start to feel frustration and defeat, because let's look at a couple of things. Number one, I've coached different sports over different generations. I've never seen a player get frustrated, angry, and then play better.
Yeah.
It's the mental game.
Right.
The mental game is the biggest part of it.
The second piece I say to them is just always be a good sportsman. Don't start making calls where if it was close, you're calling it out. Now, if it's out, you call it out.
Right.
And if you're in that judgment zone of like, I think, then call it out, because chances are it's happening to you too. There's going to be stuff that you're going to be like, I think that was in, but that's the game, right? We trust each other to be sportsmen. And then the third one is just support each other. And I think if those three things happen, they're having fun. The program will grow, because I think with tennis, there's a great line I've used. It came from Ted Lasso. I watched that series. And
that's a great show.
Yes.
I mean, one of his lines was, be a goldfish. Mm-hmm. So I've said to my players over and over, it's like, you have to be a goldfish. You have to forget what just happened and play this next point like you absolutely have the opportunity and chance to win. Play smart, but you have to be a goldfish, because if you're going to harbor everything, it's not going to get better. You can actually watch, even with the pros, you watch them when they start to slide, right? That person who 20 minutes ago was hitting a forehand that's probably the fastest in the world now can't even get it over the net. Like you were saying, Coach, it's all mental.
Yep.
It's all mental. What has changed? What has changed that's causing you to stiffen up? What has changed that your rotation's off? What has changed that your feet are slower? Are you in your head? Because now your head's defeating you. So we try to work on that. And then within that, the other thing I always try to do with my players is I want them to always feel like they have a home with us. Mm-hmm. So I've said to my head coach, or my captain, Lillian, I'm like, Gainesville tennis is a home for somebody. We are a home for somebody.
Yeah.
We have some athletes out who may have never played tennis before. They may not have played sports before, but we are a home for somebody. And a home is safe, home is secure, and a home is where you can always like tell what you need to get off your chest to help you be better. And I say to her that, I'm like, we are these girls' home. So we're always going to be in the role of parent, brother, sister, supportive, because at the end of the day, we're going to win, we're going to lose, but if we can get tighter, I think that's the ingredient for success.
Yeah, connectivity. We've talked about that a lot on this show over the first few months of the school year is how connectivity is one of the key components of success. But I also really appreciate you haven't mentioned at all about the actual skill of tennis. It's been all about making sure you're encouraging a very young group, some of whom are unfamiliar with the sport, as you just mentioned, and every program we have here has kids like that.
Yep.
That they don't pick up a bat until they step on Gainesville High School's campus as a ninth grader. They've never kicked a soccer ball. Those are the battles we face, and tennis is no different. And so, to be encouraging can make people their best selves, and it can make them the best athlete too. They got to love it first, and I know that's hokey. And in today's times when, everybody's so charged and play year round and spend the money and get the trainer and, everybody's so furrow-browed, man, but do they love it? If they love it, you don't have to ask them to work at it.
Correct, yeah.
And so I really, really appreciate that your tone with a young team is make them love it, make them keep that love, because then the skill will enhance almost organically.
Yeah, I agree. One thing I learned in my own experience rowing, because I went into that sport cold. I had no prior experience. The only thing that got me through those 2 weeks was just determination and I was fairly fit. I wasn't to that level of condition that they got me to. What helped me become a good rower, what helped me get to a point where by the end of my novice freshman year, I was looked at by Chris Korzanowski, who was the U.S. national coach at the time, was I had a coach who knew how to challenge me. He understood me. He knew how to push me, and he knew how to support me. And Tully Vaughn, loved him. Older gentleman who had kind of had a whole career in construction. He owned a construction company, was giving into Villanova Crew program from himself. He had the ability to see something that was rough, that was unnurtured, and he could do something with it. And so I attribute a lot of who I am as a coach to him, versus I had other experiences, other coaches like you mentioned, who were national rowers, one rowed in the Olympics, who were very driven by data. Right? Data, numbers, speed.
And there's absolutely a place for all that too,
Absolutely.
100%.
But that for me as an athlete was a challenge.
Right.
It was a challenge when he would say to me at the end of a practice where I felt like I had given everything. He would say to me, "You're 3 seconds off. Mm-hmm. That's all you got out of today.
Holy cow.
3 seconds off."
Yeah.
Okay, coach, how do I get faster? That's for you to figure out.
Yeah.
Go figure it out. Let me know.
Right, figure it out. I'm telling you what to do, how to do it, figure it out. So that was something that even as, I was 21 at that point, I really took from that experience, even at that level where you are starting to talk about what do you want to do with this, you still have to be nurtured. You still have to be supported. Counterbalance to that was his younger brother, Kevin St. Clair. So the other gentleman, Jack, is a phenomenal coach, well respected, well known in the rowing community. Younger brother Kevin was my sophomore coach, my first year's varsity, and he was a nurturer too. He was one that would pour into you, pull me aside. You can do better. I need you to do this. I need you to do this. It was just so funny that softer approach, and then this is what I need you to do. I could take off.
Right.
Well, there's no doubt on every team, kids need different things.
They do.
Right.
And
Good
that's
guy,
why,
bad guy.
Yeah,
Yep.
and that's why you always have one coach that's kind of the hammer, and the other one that's the soft one. So it's important to have that. And look, I think that's one of the things I appreciate about you, Coach. I think number one, you build that relationship with your kids, and you know how to talk to them, which one needs to be pushed, which one needs to be loved, and all that. So I want to go back to something that you mentioned, just because I'm being stupid, but you talked about the sportsmanship piece, and as you were talking about that, I just started thinking about the fact that you have tennis and you have golf where there is no referee or official. So the kids have to call their own in and out, and they have to work out everything on their own. That teaches so many lessons, through just the game of having to, hey, that was clearly in, and that kid called it out, and you have to mentally get over that. You have to, not raise unless you're talking about it's match point, and this has been, there's really not much to do about it. You kind of just roll with it and go.
Right.
How do you deal with those things from a sportsmanship side of things?
Oh, it's a great question. So I encourage integrity, fairness. I also encourage them to be aware. So if you are seeing something consistently done to you, bring the coach into it. Because one thing, we talked about headspace earlier, you don't want to start pulling that into your headspace that you can't win because this person's cheating. That's what my job is.
Yep.
That's where I come in, and then I can address it. I can address it with the other coach. It's my role, if you will, to be the one that gets emotional if something's being done unfairly. But it's the player's role just to stay within the realm of you just play, you let us take care of the semantics, if you will. So I feel like the girls have a good sense of trust with me, that they know, when I'm at a match, I am constantly moving. I'm trying to watch everybody at least for a minute to 2 minutes. I always try to catch at least one change of side so I can talk to them. get a sense of where they're at, especially if they're struggling. I try to stick with it longer so that I can at least talk to them and remind them that I see it, you see it. Here's some of the things I see you're doing wrong. Maybe your serve, your toss is way too far forward, and you're trying to get at it because you're trying to get this over with. Mm-hmm. So your body language is reflecting your mind. I can see it. You're not moving your feet. That's why your racket's back. That's why half the balls are shooting up into the air. You're not getting back in time. And honestly, a lot of it's feet.
The base.
Feet.
Yep.
Yeah. Move your feet. Feet first, then your body, racket second. So I try to always do that, but always try to make sure, and Coach, from tennis and from golf, it can get snarky. Mm-hmm. That's part of it too, right?
Especially when you're dealing with females. I'm just saying.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah. As being one, I can speak freely on that. And I think the word you're looking for is petty.
It can.
It can get petty.
It can get.
Yeah, and I'm honestly of course, we know golf and tennis aren't officiated, but the hardships that come along with that. Mm-hmm. Because we always look, we're fortunate. Anytime I've gone over to Longwood Park, right across the street from Gainesville High School, by the way, Gainesville plays Lakeview there Thursday at 4. Be there or be square. Anytime I've gone over to watch us play tennis, that's never been an issue, that there's no officials. Yep. And that's a byproduct of the great coaching they get, the great advice they get, how the standard that's been set, the expectations levied, that we're not going to act like hoodlums if we've been wronged in any capacity. It's been a non-issue. So, I think that's a great thing. As we wrap up with you here, Coach, you mentioned early on in our chat falling in love with Gainesville, and then coming here at the behest of one Jamie Green. We should have him on via Zoom sometime.
That's a good idea.
At the behest of one Jamie Green, who I found to be a great leader as well. I'm glad you mentioned that. But why are you still a Red Elephant? What do you love about Gainesville High School? What do you love about being a Red Elephant?
It's the first building school that I walked into that I felt connected to the kids. It really was. And it was a tough time. It was COVID. I started in 21. So we were doing that sort of partial transition back. We only had certain letters of the alphabet in the rooms. Maybe it was seeing...
What a weird time.
Oh, yeah. God, yeah. Maybe it was seeing the kids in the masks. Maybe it was just something about the room, the modulars that I was in. Maybe it was just a combination of all those things. But I remember Jason Pleasant, who I worked with at Riverside, when he found out I was coming over, he said, going to Gainesville, he said, you are going to become a Red Elephant. And you're either going to love it, or it's not going to fit. Mm-hmm. And so I kind of had that in the back of my head too. But I think what really connected me the most to the school was the students first. I loved the kids. I loved the diversity. I loved that you pour into these kids and they give back. Like, this is definitely a student body where they see you committed to them. They see you invested in them. They see you working alongside them, not necessarily just,
dictating to them.
Right, but we're going to do this together. Brick walls will not stop them.
Yeah.
They will do whatever they have to help you, for them to be better. That for me is probably the biggest connection. I would say that, and it just felt like home. I guess you just know.
Yeah.
And my biggest regret is I took as long as I did, I shouldn't say that. I came probably at the right time for Gainesville. Maybe Gainesville wasn't the right fit for me when I was younger. Maybe I wasn't a good enough teacher or a good enough coach at that point. I came when I was ready.
Yeah.
And that's why, I've told Coach, I will stay as long as you have me.
Right.
And then at some point you're going to look and go, yeah, it's time.
But you know what? And we use this hashtag a lot. I say it a lot. Even if you get told it's time, you're always going to be a Red Elephant. It just sticks with you. And I appreciate that sentiment of you're either gonna love it or you're gonna hate it. you're either with us or you're against us. Been that way since the school started, and certainly in athletics been that way since the first recorded event in 1905. So yeah, appreciate you, Coach. Appreciate everything you do for our young people. Folks, Longwood Park, yes, it looks like it's closed. It is not closed to Gainesville High School tennis. Right across the street from Gainesville High School. Get there, watch our tennis players play, and support Big Red, as I know you all always do with everything. Coach, pleasure having you on. Thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Boy, Adam, I got to tell you, I was not surprised that we had a great conversation with Coach Vic. I was surprised at what I learned from Baylor Montoya and Ed Benson, not only about themselves, but their journeys to their sport, their journeys to Gainesville, especially Benson. Man, the rowing thing, come on now.
Well, it's exactly why we're doing this.
Yeah.
As you always say, we're pulling back the curtain. We're finding out things. When Coach Vic sat down, he started talking about your dad having intercepted two
Joe Namath.
Yeah. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
how cool is that?
Yeah.
So that's why I love these conversations, because we're going to find out something every time that we do this. So certainly appreciative for those guys joining us today. Know we'll have them back again sometime, and looking forward to next week. You want to tell us what's next week? You want me to tell?
Listen, no, I'll do it. I'm great with it. Next week we're going to have the pleasure of having Coach Chan Brown back on. Again. Listen, this man is a wealth of information when it comes to the sport of baseball. But more importantly, he is a good dude with some great stories. He's going to, baseball has played a few games. We'll have played more when we have him on next week. Give us a bit of a preview of not just what's to come, but also talk to us about where the program is, and kind of the battles he's facing, but also the bright spots. So going to have a great conversation with Coach Chan Brown. Dion Williams is going to be on with us. This might be the conversation I'm looking most forward to, because he is a man of many talents.
Yeah, so he's been on our football staff for a while, but he's also been our co-head coach for track, which is really kind of what we're going to dive into next week. Does an incredible job with our sprinters, works his butt off.
Yeah.
May even have, and I'll just throw this out there, may have even a little special announcement.
Oh, really?
When we talk to Dion next
Okay.
week. Maybe we'll see how that goes.
A special announcement. Yep. I like hearing that. And I'm being dead serious, folks. I have no idea what he's talking about. So I'm going to be tuned in for that as well. We're also going to have a student athlete on. Been a while since we talked to a student athlete. We don't know which one yet. We're going to pick. If y'all have any ideas of who you'd like to hear from, go ahead and shoot me an email, katie.davis@gcssk.net, or hit us up in our DMs at Go Red Elephants across all platforms. I'll say that all the time. But a Red Elephant student athlete to be named. So next week, going to be a great show. We know this. This week, boy, did we have fun talking to Coach Ed Benson, Baylor Montoya, and of course, the Vic. And I'll end with this. Vickery mentioning, and the things you forget, that my dad gave him his first job.
Yeah,
I had completely forgotten about that. My father at Madison County, he was the head football coach. He gave Coach Wayne Vickery his very first job out of college. Some of you may be going, "Damn your father."
Now we know who to blame.
Now we know who to blame. But again, the invisible strings.
Yeah.
This man built an incredible legacy here at Gainesville High School. And it started with, somebody who loves being a red elephant, her father giving him a job.
Yeah.
That's a pretty cool invisible string. One that I'd forgotten about, but dadgummit, one that I'm proud of. So let's end on that, right? It's always a pleasure bringing you Behind the G. We'll be back next week. We hope you will be as well. In the meantime, in between time, folks, hope you have a great week. This has been Behind the G.